All right, on today's podcast, we do the Furious 5 in 20 minutes, but we don't finish it in 20 minutes. We cover some pretty vast topics, so I hope you enjoy it. I had an afterthought. I saw this picture, because we talk about cancel culture, and I saw this picture online that says, how did the generation that was raised on South Park, The Simpsons, and Family Guy become so sensitive? And so it ties into what we talk about today. Anyways, enjoy. All right, here we are today, a very special episode of I'm Probably Wrong About Everything, with an emphasis on the title, because we're going to be talking about a wide breadth of topics here. But for the sake of time and for your attention, respect to the time that you guys all have, we're setting a timer for today for 20 minutes. And we're going to try and cover 5 topics that Jesse and I went over before. And that includes video games, these 2 lawyers in St. Louis. We're going to talk a little bit about Trump, because, how can you not?
Election year, baby.
Yeah, it's election year. Hell of a year. Even though we're Canadians, we are clearly affected by America. So you got to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And then we decided, let's talk about the internet and the age of information, and we'll finish up with cancel culture. So we've set a timer. Jesse, there's been some recent developments in your life around video games.
Ah, yes. So
great coffee, by the way. We're drinking.
Thank you. Yes.
Cheers.
Props up to Bones Coffee Company for we're not even famous and we're already advertising.
Yeah.
But they're this online company. You can go and get some really nice tasting coffee. We're drinking it black and it tastes amazing. So, anyways,
I have mint chocolate chip.
I've got hot buttered rum.
Ooh. Is there liquor in it?
No, but it probably tastes really good with some. So, anyways, me and Rob have both hit our dirty 30s in the last year. And, when you turn 30, you kind of start reevaluating your life and seeing what you're doing, where you're going, what's important to you. And a big part of all of our lives growing up, I think, was the playing of video games. Whether it was playing RPGs, playing Call of Duty, or just playing some sports games with your friends. We all kind of enjoyed it growing up, and some of us still do. But for myself, I find that I always kind of go overboard on things. I think I'm undiagnosed ADHD pretty much, but I'd find myself sitting playing for hours on end, playing video games, and trying to just say, okay, I'm gonna have one more game. If I win this game, I'm done. Or I'm so
this
close,
is the last one.
Or I'm so
You're
close,
chasing the dragon.
Yeah, I'm so close to leveling up my character. I'm just gonna level him up, or I'm just gonna get that last achievement for the day.
Right.
And so every time you do that, something else would pop up.
15 minutes becomes
or a
3
buddy
hours.
A buddy signs on that wasn't on. He's like, hey, you want to play a game? And you're like, well, I was going to sign off and do some other stuff, but I guess, I'll come play with you. And I was always that person. I'm always the guy that's like, yeah, I'll come play with you too, man. So I just found at the end of the day, I was spending way too much time in this community that I didn't find very healthy, to be honest. It was very toxic. And that's what a lot of online gaming is right now. It's a bunch of kids that are saying words that they don't understand the value of, and they don't understand the weight of.
Impact,
Yeah. Kids are telling each other to kill themselves constantly, every day, on social media, on these online games. The online gaming is worse because there's not really much evidence of it unless you report it to someone.
There's no consequences for what they're saying.
Parents, right now, if you're listening to this, go onto any game, go on to Fortnite, go on to Diablo, go on to any game that your kids are playing. There will probably be recorded matches of things that they've done, and I'm sorry, young ones, that I'm throwing you into the bus here.
Snitching.
Yeah, but your parents need to know, and you need to understand your behavior's wrong. They will record all of the things that were said, whether it's your son or daughters or someone else's, and you can kind of see the way that kids talk to each other, because it's really hostile and it's really fucking shitty. Like, without having to use profanity myself. It's just, I was finding I would play games and I would try, go in with a good attitude, and my mood would be ruined by the end of my 2-hour session of playing games.
Now, going on to this, when I've played Call of Duty, and again, video games are such a time investment.
Yeah.
That I just don't have the time anymore. I'd rather
have-
read books, do other things that are quick
Yeah.
and easy ways to use my time because I don't
Walk
know when my
your
kid's
dog.
going to fall down the stairs.
Yeah.
Right? So, but I have found that in playing matches, there's people that are always talking shit.
Yeah.
So I go on there and I just mute them.
Yeah.
But I imagine in the computer games, because I play on Xbox, the computer games, you can chat a lot easier.
Yes. It's
So do you find that you almost can't help but interact with these people? You can't help but engage? Because I just don't engage.
It's a game about communication. I mean, the game I played, we'll kind of give a case in point. I play a lot of Blizzard games. I did growing up playing StarCraft, Diablo, all those games that we all grew up in the 90s, and I continued playing them because I really enjoyed the games they made for their fan base. But one of them is called Here's the Storm, and it's a MOBA, very much like Dota or League of Legends, and if you don't play games, none of this makes sense to you, I'm sorry. But it's a game where you have 5 teammates, and the objective is, it's almost like capture the flag, except you're trying to destroy the flag. So you're trying to destroy their base.
Right.
And if there's 5 teammates, that's a game it's a big map. It's a game that requires communication, right?
How long is the average map?
It's anywhere from 20 minutes
Match.
to an hour.
Oh, great.
Yeah, depending on which one you're playing. But you can't play this game and just kind of play by yourself and hope to win. It is a game you have to work together. So if you just mute everybody right off the bat, you're defeating the whole purpose of playing the game. You might as well be playing Minesweeper.
Right.
But
right. That's a great game, actually.
Great game.
I finally figured out how you play it.
Yeah, it's
Anyways,
not just click the button.
Yeah. You don't click it. Bah!
Damn it! I found a mine again.
So,
so I couldn't. I'm an emotional person, and I'm also a person that kind of tries, I stand up for people or trying to show someone when they're wrong and they're being a dick.
and just for the record, we are all emotional beings.
Yes.
That part of our brain is much larger than our prefrontal cortex, which is the part that is rational and thinking. Right?
Wow. Shock.
Yeah. No surprises there.
Yeah. If we had a bigger rational brain, there'd probably be a lot less wars, guys. Or, you wouldn't go cheat on your girlfriend because you thought it was a good idea because you would be thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Well, liquor and drugs, which liquor is a drug,
Yeah.
but all those things affect your prefrontal cortex, which is why you act like a stupid asshole when you're hammered.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I need to make my prefrontal cortex bigger.
There you go.
Prefrontal core exercises.
But video games, because they're so impulsive, right? Like Call of Duty, you die right away, then you respawn.
Yeah.
Right? You don't even have time to really process. That's why kids rage quit.
Yeah.
Is because, well, first of all, their prefrontal cortexes aren't even fully developed until they're in their 20s. And then they're having to, constantly experiencing this failure. They have a meltdown. They throw their controllers.
Yeah.
That's another aside. And I'm looking at the time, and I'm like, holy shit, we're not going to get through this.
Well, no, we're not going into this one too much. Just the point of all of this was me saying...
Stay tuned.
I recently deleted all of my games, and when I say deleted, I meant I went online and I deleted my account. I deleted things that I spent hundreds of dollars on, which kind of sucks because, it was a lot of my childhood that I put a lot of
And you can't
investment
get this
into.
back.
I can't get it back. I don't want it back.
Was that an impulsive decision, do you
No.
think?
I hate this game. Fuck it. I'm quitting everything. No, I deleted it because I did not want to give myself an opportunity to go back into this negative culture that was starting to put a very...
Weighing on your well-being.
Even just, me and my girlfriend would be going for a walk, and I would finish a match, and it would be a bad match. I'd go into the shower, I wouldn't talk to her, I wouldn't be slamming stuff, but
yeah.
I would stand in the shower, and I'm standing there, I'm like, why am I letting this game bug me so much? I'm a 30-year-old man, and I'm about to go for a walk with my loving girlfriend, and I'm pissed off that a fucking 12-year-old kid killed me in a video game that has no merit and no meaning on my life.
But it does have merit and meaning.
It does.
It affect you.
It obviously it does, yeah. But I think ultimately at the end of the day it was a negative community for me, and
right.
When I'm 80 years old and I'm looking back on my life, I don't want to think that, you know what, I got really good at that one game that doesn't matter and I have no awards or money or anything to show for it, but damn it, I was good at it.
Yeah.
No, fuck that. So, that's not me saying, hey, all you guys stopped playing video games because it's a great like escape. I still play like Nintendo Switch and stuff because Smash Bros is a good time.
Great.
But I no longer choose to let myself be in a negative and toxic environment like online gaming because I'm too emotional and I can't really separate that whole stuff. So that was just a decision for me. Also just kind of trying to, find the negative things in your life and remove them, and you will find yourself happier. I am much happier that I'm not sitting there yelling at my computer screen currently. I'm doing a podcast with my good pal, Rob Grant.
Well, and I think that's a good point, is there's a lot of distraction in our lives.
Yes.
And it takes up our mental capacities. Like, I used to have Snapchat, and I'd be like, wow, I want to Snapchat this, and I just deleted it. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't impulsive. It was quite, it was a very quick decision because I weighed the pros and the cons. And the pros of having Snapchat are just not there, right? And
what is the pros? I showed my buddy that my cat's doing something funny. I got to show everybody.
It is a colossal waste of time.
Who cares?
So it's kind of like a computer runs faster the less applications you're running.
Yeah.
So
my computer ran really faster after I deleted like 10 games off.
There you go, right? I mean, our brain is similar.
Yeah.
Right? The parallels are there.
Yes.
So that brings us into our next one. And we probably won't get through all these. And this is a good exercise in being precise with our words and our time.
I did say I have ADHD undiagnosed. So,
well, you stayed focused on this topic, which is good. So the next one is there's this picture going around on the internet. There's this news thing. There's these two lawyers in St. Louis. Mm. And
all right, take a seat if you aren't for this one. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah. Well,
we'll try our best not to get fired up.
This picture shows two, white lawyers. I don't know their names. Apparently it's Ken and Karen. And
no, that's their nicknames.
That's their code names because they want to protect their identity, of course.
Yes.
And they have guns. The guy has an M16, which is a weapon used to kill people, of course. And the lady has like a 007 James Bond pistol.
It's like a 9mm, yeah.
Both of these people, by the way, have their fingers on the trigger. The lady looks deranged. Like, it looks like she took a bunch of oxys or something. Like, she don't look right. The other guy, he looks fairly calm. Now, here's the problem with the internet, is that we don't know what is really going on. Everything is a he said, she said, they said, whatever.
Isn't that a Limp Bizkit song?
Yeah, well, it's an expression.
See, I can't stay on topic, guys. Okay, go ahead.
But the problem is that there's so much information and there's so much divisiveness, right? It's like we've forgotten what the truth is, which is what the focus is of this, and let's maybe think about it. But you have this rich couple protecting their house, and elsewhere in the States, there was a kid who had a toy gun who was 6 or 7 years old, and he shot and killed. I just have a hard time. I have a hard time with this. So anyways, what are your thoughts?
So, first and foremost, you are not allowed to hold a gun and point it at someone. That is an act of assault.
Yeah, her finger was on the trigger.
You are not allowed to say, I'm going to punch you in the face. That is an act of assault. You are not allowed to threaten anyone else's life in any way.
Right.
So, for a kid to be pointing a toy gun and getting shot when he was clearly not threatening anyone, and then for Mark McCloskey and his wife Patricia, both in their 60s, by the way, not children, to point guns that I don't know if they were loaded or not, but
it had the clip in there.
Yeah, you are pointing a gun at a group of people. You're not going to miss. You're going to hit somebody.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, and I'm a hunter, and I am all for having firearms as tools, not as, toys.
Yeah.
And dude, their gun safety is the shits. They were in each other's crossfire like the whole time. I saw the video.
What happens if you shot your husband in the?
Yeah. And then what? You're gonna say a protester did it?
Oh, of course. What they actually said to the police when they started this whole thing was, they called a police report in because they said that their gate had been broken down and they were having people trespassing on their property. Now, again, we are probably wrong about everything, but my understanding of this entire instance is, yes, the gate got broken. That sucks.
That did happen.
Their front gate did get broken.
Okay.
It wasn't like destroyed, but it looks like it was off the hinges. It was probably fixable. And the protesters were walking on a private street in St. Louis. Now, I don't know much about laws and regulations and bylaws and everything, but if it's a private street, you're still allowed to walk on it. You're not allowed to park on it. You're not allowed to...
Well,
you are not trespassing on their property by walking on a street.
My understanding is that they were marching to like the governor's house. The mayor's house.
Yeah. So maybe they rattled the gate a little bit and maybe it came off its hinges.
Yeah.
What the couple said to the police is that they broke their gate, walked on their property, told them that they were going to burn their house down, murder them, and murder their fucking dog.
Yeah. And who's they? Who's saying this?
The protesters. Or you mean the
like
people...
Like, is one singular voice?
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean?
And, like, okay, first of all, a little side
note. The
protesters
protesters said, we will kill your dog.
Who threatens someone's dog? I know that's neither here nor there, but, like, that's...
Yeah, that's
like,
oddly specific.
I can tell that you're trying to heighten emotion and everything in people. And then their attorney, when they made a case to the news and to the court and everything, they said that the peaceful protesters were they weren't bothering them and they were being supportive and expecting of them and everybody was getting along. We were all singing Kumbaya and like you're lying to one people and then you're saying you're scared for your life, and in the videos and the pictures you don't look very scared for your life. You look very entitled. You look like nothing is going to happen to you,
which is a pretty important point. And I heard it said before that white people are the most dangerous people on the planet because they probably could have killed somebody and they would have been fine because they were protecting themselves. I mean, look at, what was that guy, the Zimmerman guy who killed that kid who was walking in with a hoodie in his neighborhood, killed him. And he got off scot-free. Yeah. Right? And the kid was protecting himself. Yeah. So, again, we're Canadian. And
also, we don't know all the context of this. Yeah. The only problem with this whole situation is Mark and Patricia, a.k.a. Ken and Karen, and I will only call them Ken and Karen from now on because they're fucking pieces of shit. Sorry, I'm a little heated about that one. Yeah. They didn't record any of this. If you had, like, everybody has a smartphone these days. Everybody knows how to open the smartphone, push the camera, and hit record. Right. If you recorded anybody having a gun, took a picture of anybody with a gun, your statement is validified, but you didn't. Right. All the protesters had videos of you waving a gun around like you were ready to fire. Yeah. But you don't have any videos of them doing the same thing.
Well, I think...
It's all a he said, she said thing right now, but they have evidence and you don't.
There's a... and here I am examining this, but I think that this kind of expresses, perhaps this is insightful to more of the American psyche, and for that matter, possibly the Canadian psyche. We're all fine with it until it's near our doorstep.
You're on my property.
And then suddenly we become like, oh, they're gonna, and there's this fear, right? And I think that this is something that the only way we can make it better is by talking about it, right? By saying things like, oh, I support all lives and stuff like that. It's kind of BS, right? We see a side of ourselves when, they're marching, right? They're marching down our streets and stuff. And then there's this reactiveness, right? And the fact that they go back and they're pitter-pattering between these sides showcases that, like, there's something there that is very frightening. And then you have, people like Trump. And the fact that this guy's still in power is why I no longer watch news, because it's like he's always doing something completely asinine.
You mean like retweeting that whole thing saying white power?
Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, why is this, like, if this is so bad, which it appears like it is, why is this person still in power? And then you're seeing in elsewhere in the world, like in Canada, there's leaders that are sort of piggybacking on this quote-unquote populist form of politics because Donald Trump is a populist, right? There's something, it's almost like he wants you to love him. He also wants you to hate him. it's like anything. His hate, if you hate him, his power grows.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why I try to avoid it. But he says some pretty stupid things that I find hilarious. For example, with COVID, he's going back and forth with the whole thing. And now he's saying he's wearing a mask. And he's like, I look really good when I wear a mask. I look like the Lone Ranger. Now, for those of you who know who the Lone Ranger is, he wore a bandana over his eyes, not over his mouth.
Yes.
So, I think you gotta, speaking of fact checking, this guy is not checking his facts. He shoots from the hip.
Of course he does.
Which is making everybody else shoot from the hip. When your leader is a certain way, you follow the lead.
I recommend that you guys go watch, and this is kind of it's relevant, but also not. There's a documentary on Netflix called 13th. And if you're interested in learning about black culture and you don't know too much about it, or if you
American black culture,
yes,
because it's based in the States.
If you think you know about it and you don't actually, maybe you should watch it anyways. But the point I'm trying to make is at the very end of the video, they show a little montage of Donald Trump's rallies back in 2016 when he was first trying to run. And showing him say, like, you know what they would do to people like that back in those days? They would not,
right.
They'd be out of here in a stretcher. And it went actually showing videos of the way that these people were being treated. And they were actually being assaulted, abused.
Yeah. It's a black guy. He's not doing anything.
Yeah.
He's walking.
He's getting spit on. He's getting pushed. And Donald Trump is glorifying this behavior because he's trying to fire everybody up.
Yeah.
Because he thrives on everybody being angry. Because if you're, like if you said, if your leader is just shooting from the hip, then everybody else is going to start doing that too. And it's very clear that that's what happened in the States in 2016. It will happen again this year. And it will continue to happen until this Neanderthal is out of power.
Well, and, it's important to talk about the United States because Canada, there's a lot of similarities. I love Canada, but our history isn't without infraction, right? The treatment of Indigenous peoples, First Nations, has been horrific, right? As well as other minority groups. And we're moving into our next one here, internet and the age of information. So there's another reason why I try to avoid social media, because of some of the stuff that people post on there. It's so emotional. Which it's kind of bringing it back to the original piece here. So much of what people post, it's almost like we don't question. We just agree with it. Like, no way.
Agree or disagree. Like,
yes,
you're right or fuck you, you're wrong.
It's like nobody's like, is that what really happened? Like, for example, the Ken and Karen. People are like, they were just protecting their property and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, we know what camp that person is in, right? But we're still not...
I'm going to segue into that really quickly for a second, just because I've seen that argument a lot. When somebody is on your property, you don't come out with an assault rifle pointing it at them. You say, hey, what are you doing? What do you want? Can I help you?
Yeah.
You are polite to them. If it's a mob, I get that you're a little more afraid. You can still go out, and if they are peaceful protesters, like you said to the news, then you're going to be able to get along just fine with them. When somebody is on your property, that doesn't mean kill them all. You need to stop that thought process in your head, because that's what's creating this fear and all of this.
And that is fear. Them coming out with assault rifles, that's fear.
Yeah.
That's what fear looks like.
I don't open my front door with a knife saying, what the fuck do you want? I say, hey, how can I help you?
And hate and fear, right? Like, behind a lot of hatred is fear. And it's like, well, we need to talk about this. We can't be calling everybody a racist because they don't agree with us, or, calling somebody a millennial because they want to see things the other way. Nobody is listening to each other. And that's why we have the internet, which is full of so much information, but we can make it tell us whatever we want it to tell us. It's called confirmation bias. Yeah. And we can look things up and it's like, oh yeah, witches are real, and then, XYZ, and we can find all the information that we want to validate what we think. And that's a problem.
I know somebody that posted an article saying I'll leave the name anonymous, that climate change, as reported by NASA, is a lie. I had to go onto their page, look at the article they were on, and then go onto the NASA page, like nasa.gov, the actual page that NASA reports on, and show them that NASA has actually said, yes, climate change is very much real, and we are messing the world up.
Yeah.
But this random news article that's spun it and said NASA says this is a lie, people believe. And this is actually, it's hugely directed at your parents, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents,
right? Because
they don't understand the world of technology because they didn't grow up in it. So when older people are posting these things, or getting scam phone calls from the government saying they're going to get arrested, they don't understand all of this modern day society stuff. So
they're targeting
them,
that emotional part of their brain.
Yeah, and so I think what we're trying to say here is don't believe everything you read on the internet, because back when we were kids, when you had to go do research for a project, you had to go to the library. You had to go walk down to whatever library it was and sit there reading Nintendo Power magazines instead of doing your homework, or at least that's what I did as a kid. But nowadays, kids just Google. All you need to do is Google stuff, but you need to fact check, because
and that's what education is it's no longer about what to think, but it's about how to think, how to research, because there's so much information out there, but not all of it is true. And that's what brings me up to kind of our last point in cancel culture. And we shouldn't just agree with things because they're popular. We should question them. And that's the other problem, is that when we tell people how to think, what to think, we won't win people to our side. It becomes an endless argument. It's like an atheist and a Christian arguing over if God's real. But neither side is listening, right?
So cancel culture is, in its whatever it's supposed to be, is when you call for the removal of a person or an idea or anything really that doesn't agree with your own set of morals and beliefs, without actually going through any proper steps, without reforming, without, you just want to straight up remove it off the face of the planet. And this society this ideology has kind of come about recently, and I think it has something to do with the fact that the world we live in is such an instant gratification world. You need something and you want it to happen now. You don't want to wait. You don't. I want my Amazon package today, and if it doesn't get here today, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, I want my money back.
Yeah, but back in the day, we actually used to have this kind of thing, where if somebody was doing something wrong. No, it was like back in like the medieval times.
Right.
When somebody was doing something wrong, you called for their head.
Yeah.
Did that really work out all that well? Did people get a just, fair trial all the time? And the problem, I'll answer that question, no. But the problem with cancel culture is they will look at something and say there was somebody was selling defective lipstick. I don't remember what her name was down in the States a little while ago. They will cancel her just as easily as they will cancel Harvey Weinstein for what he did.
Yeah.
So the punishment is always the same, but they're treating it as equal crimes, and they're not really thinking about, well, that's not the way that the world works. That's not like, you are not entitled to have something removed from society because it doesn't agree with what you believe in.
Well, and I'm going to, because we're going over time here, I'm going to end it with these two quotes. Mark Twain said, I believe it's Mark Twain, if you find yourself siding with the majority, it's probably a good time to look at yourself. Which means if you're busy foaming at the mouth, in terms of cancel culture, it's probably a good time to look at what you're saying.
Yeah.
And the other one, Public Enemy, a rap group of the 90s, said, don't believe the hype.
Yeah.
So question everything. Because you know what? You might be wrong. So we went a little bit over time.
I thought we were going to do 20 minutes of all these.
No.
Oh, that would have taken way too long. I thought we were going to be here for a long time.
Yeah.
I had a big coffee. I was ready. Like, I had my bag of snacks here, but wait, I want to say one last thing.
Okay. Yeah, you get the final word.
I shall. Cancel culture. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I do agree that some things should be canceled and some things should be, but maybe some things should just be readdressed. Like, the biggest one I heard was cancel Canada Day. I understand that I live in a world that has such opportunity because we literally crippled an entire group of people, or many different groups of people in all these different tribes.
Different countries, essentially, yeah.
And I understand that, and I should no longer be proud of the fact that I'm living off of that. I also don't think that I should be ashamed that I'm Canadian. Because Canada and this country I have lived in for 31 years is so much more than just, and I'm not trying to sound racist here, it's so much more than just the genocide that happened years ago. Because I understand that, I'm aware of it, but it's a beautiful country. It's a country where every nation can come together and live and be happy. And so my point is, I don't think we should cancel Canada Day. I think we should reform what it means and what we should be celebrating. I am proud that I live in a free country where I can say what I want. I can make these podcasts, and I have friends that are all different colors and races, and I can learn about those, and it's just a great place to live. But I'm not proud of how it came to be. Right. So maybe it should be reform culture, not cancel culture. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time, your insight, and the amazing coffee.
Yes.
So we're 10 minutes over, and it's because we picked awesome topics.
It's also hard to do 20 minutes of like a bunch of stuff.
It is. So thank you for listening. If you have comments, suggestions of things, topics you would like to hear, please let us know. And we'll be looking forward to covering them in our next one. Have a great day. And remember, we're probably wrong about some of the things that we shared.
Probably everything.
Yeah.